Look at this.
Probably Tumwater.
Look at this place. It's like, I mean, we've been on a journey today. Are we in Skyrim? I've been having a hard time writing the review for Goat Mountain Tumwater Loop because it's just too good. Harvey Danger once wrote into one of their songs that happiness writes white, and I think that applies to this ride. But I've got to tell you something about it, so I'll make an attempt. I think one of the first features of the Goat Mountain to Tumwater Loop that bears important mention is that this is one of the few places where you can ride your mountain bike on a decently constructed trail that threads its way through some of the most impressive primary forest that's still left in the Pacific Northwest. This isn't just primary forest, it's old growth, and the Goat Creek Trail climbs through some groves of imposing hemlocks and Doug firs that are thicker at the base than you are tall. Look at that monster. I don't know if you can see on the GoPro, but that base is all the way across the creek. And it's like 5 feet across, 100 feet up the tree. This is Primeval Forest you're riding through here, but without the Primeval Trail like some other places I've been. If you're a tree nerd, you'll love this trail. You get to the trailhead by plugging Goat Creek Trail into Google Maps. I'm serious, like Google Maps will actually take you to this trailhead. Google Maps will guide you to Morton, Washington, which is a cute little town along Highway 12. You'll take a ride on Cosmos Road, then hairpin left on Champion Hall Road, past the reservoir, turn right on Forest Service Road 2750 and follow it to the trailhead. The road is rough, but you should be able to get most passenger cars up here, although you'll be far more comfortable in a vehicle with higher clearance. From the trailhead, the trail starts out on an old road grade before taking you up onto a very well constructed bench along Goat Creek Canyon. As of late July 2018 when we rode this, the trail has been very recently cleared of blowdown and weed whacked. There were only a few sections that they missed, but this ride was definitely made a lot better by the huge amount of work that obviously went into clearing it. There are a lot of creek crossings on this trail, especially on the first section of it. You'll definitely want to make sure you have the right kind of shoes for this. Maybe don't wear your racing shoes. You'll be crossing lots of water and rocky creek beds. You'll have plenty of opportunities to slip and fall and get wet on the first part of this trail. You'll encounter Cathedral Falls a couple of miles from the trailhead. This is a gorgeous rock grotto where you get to ride behind the waterfall, which by midsummer turns into more of a water shower? Not sure. It's not a lot of water in the middle of summer, but you can definitely see the possibilities here. The acoustics in here are fantastic, so, you know, you should totally bring like a choir with you if you've got one. A lot of the benches in here are steep, and at least one of them looks to have been dynamited into the canyon wall, sort of like Eagle Creek, but without the safety cable. I suggest you pay attention and dismount the bike for this one section because it's high consequence. Keep your wits about you because it will kind of just sneak up on you. Soon after passing through Cathedral Falls, you'll come across this trail junction. To the left is Tumwater Trail, and to the right is Goat Creek. Take the trail to the right. Now, the trail has a reputation for being mighty steep through here, and we kept pedaling and pedaling in anticipation of the long, arduous hike-a-bike we were expecting from all the reviews. Well, it never came. Like any 20-mile ride, there were definitely sections where we made life easier on ourselves by walking the bike, but other than the many creek crossings, there were very few mandatory hike-a-bikes on this section, or on the rest of the trail for that matter. Overall, both Goat Creek and Tumwater are exceptionally well laid out, thoughtfully built trails. Whoever originally flagged these lines clearly had a clinometer and knew how to use it. The benching on the trails through here is the kind of very well done, 4-foot wide, well-drained benches that you could drag your McLeod across and watch it skip across the tread. Well done, trail builders. Well done. So, for better or worse, we were able to pedal the entire approximately 2,500 feet or so up to the junction with Vanson Peak Trail. There was one bad spot on the whole climb, and the trail is in such good shape that that one bad spot was memorable. This climb on the Goat Creek Trail is long, but it's also an otherworldly, absurdly primal, and gnarly old-growth forest full of gigantic trees dwarfing you at their bases and towering over you. This is where the good stuff is, and this is the trail you want to bring your hiking friends on if hiking is your thing. If you don't have the knees to hike Quartz Creek, but you want to see gnarly old forest, come do the Vanson Peak hike. By and by, you'll come to this intersection. Now, we didn't hike up to Vanson Peak because we thought there would be more exposures. You should absolutely take the time to hike up to Vanson Peak. Just do it. We didn't, and now I have to go back and do it again to correct that error. You'll get a view of the entire drainage you're about to ride around from Vanson Peak, as well as a commanding view of the Cascade Peaks. It should be noted that you could ride Goat Creek up to Vanson Peak and back down as an out and back. That is a totally acceptable option, and I would only shame you a little bit if I knew you had done so. After you come down from Vanson Peak, continue down the trail as it kind of descends, kind of climbs, kind of descends like a ridge trail, because at this point it has transitioned from a canyon trail to being a ridge trail, until you'll see a trail intersection that allows you to bike through some overgrown meandering trail to Dead Man's Lake. Bike to the lake and fill up your camelback. This is the last water you're getting for a while, and the lake is gorgeous anyway. Now, I didn't fill up here, and I barely made it to the end of the ride with the 3 liters I started with, but it wasn't a hot day. It was 55 degrees along the ridge lines the day I rode this. If you're doing this when it's hot, you need to pay attention to your water levels. I would have run out of water prematurely on a hotter day. Please do remember to bring a water filter on this ride. It is not optional. From this lake, it's another 6 miles to the next source of water, and it's a gross, fetid pool of water that's likely nothing more than a mud hole by the middle of August. After enjoying the lake, proceed back to the junction with the Tumwater Trail and proceed to start climbing the ridge to the top of Tumwater Mountain. Continuing with the theme of thoughtfully laid out and well-built sustainable trail, the Tumwater Trail proceeds to gradually climb the ridge in the most ideal grade possible. Then you get to a really prime, fun, and fast piece of downhill for about 1.5 miles. This is a preview. It's duffy and raw because it hasn't seen many feet or bike tires for a very long time. The trail can be difficult to locate in places here, but overall, I was able to navigate just fine. After this genuinely fun section of downhill, you'll get to the one long section of this trail where, if you're a mere mortal, you'll probably be pushing your bike. It's not because it's really all that steep, but because by this point, you'll be really, really tired. You'll eventually come to the one really decent exposure on this trail. Enjoy this exposure and take some pictures while contemplating the valley below. But this isn't your last exposure opportunity because there's a really good view ahead if you follow my instructions. I'm going to help you avoid the mistake we made. When you get to the summit of Tumwater, only to find it's nothing but trees, don't stop there. Keep going because the summit isn't the exposure. The best exposure in this whole system is on a ridgeline we didn't know existed until we got back down to this seasonal lake, the mud hole I was talking about, and looked up and started cursing. Once you get past the seasonal lake, you will get what you came for, the reward you rode all these miles for, which is the descent down Tumwater Mountain. The day we rode it, they hadn't quite cleared the last few trees near the top, and we got really, really sad. But then we came around this switchback and it was clear the trail crew had gotten to everything below this point, and we were happy again. Seriously, this was great. This downhill is a descent down a well-built hiking trail. It's old school mountain biking at its best without features to help you and no berms to catch you. It's just a raw, good trail and it's super fast. Also, because it doesn't see that much ridership, the surface is super soft and duffy. This section is a lot of fun and a lot of totally worthwhile. It makes what you just went through to get here totally worth it. About halfway down, you'll come to this exposure where you can see up to Vanson Peak and just look around at the entire drainage you just rode around. It makes for a perfect bookend to this ride. From this viewpoint, the fantastic downhill extravaganza continues, including a few frightening benches with sheer drop-offs until you get to some heavier vegetation before crossing Goat Creek. There's some mild overgrowth in this section, which I blame for me breaking my derailleur since it glanced sideways across a rock I didn't see. Be careful. Once you manage this difficult creek crossing, you'll go uphill for a while before you meet back up with the junction for the Goat Creek Trail. Now, just leave the way you came. You should be thoroughly tired by now, so be careful and don't hesitate to walk the bike if you feel you need to. We had a couple of falls in this section, and I think they could only be really attributed to us being tired. There's a half-decent burger joint and a Mexican place in Morton. Go get a recovery meal there when you're done. Spend some money in the town. They need to see us doing that. If these trails remain cleared out, or if we can marshal enough mountain bikers to keep them cleared, I do believe this whole trail system just might need to be inducted into the Pacific Northwest riding canon. It's that important. So, go put your tires on it. Now, get out there and go ride your bike.